guys, and welcome back to another VGC 2019 Sun Series Pokemon guide. And in today's guide we're going to be looking at the third installment of the restricted Pokemon from the X and Y series. We're going to be looking at Zygarde. So I wasn't actually planning on doing any more guides after the Reshiram guide, but because I've had a few requests from you guys for Zygarde specifically, I decided to do it. So this will be the wrap up of the Sun Series guides. I really hope you have enjoyed the series. Thank you so much to each and every one of you as well for all the support throughout, the comments, just the likes and everything, and just general interaction with the guides. And I really hope they have been helpful for you to kind of get kick-started into the Sun Series. It has been a lot of fun doing them, and I could have went a lot more in depth with them, but because of time restrictions and things like that, and wanting to get them out as early as possible within the format, so they're relevant as a starting point, as a stepping stone for you guys to kind of go forward and give you examples of how you can use these Pokemon in the format. I wanted just to give them brief overviews and some sample sets and just a bit of a better understanding in general of these restricted Pokemon that we have access to. So just to reiterate the point, if you haven't seen any of the other guides we've done in this series, you can go and check them out in the top right hand corner now. I'll link that up there for you guys to go and check out the other guides in the Sun series. So I am looking forward to doing the Moon series and then the Ultra series, but for the time being we're going to stop these, and there'll be other guides on the way, so do stay tuned for those on the channel. But without further ado, let's just hop into this one. So we're going to start with taking a quick overview of the Zygarde, the 50% form, because there are three forms of Zygarde. There is a 10% form, a 50% form, and a complete form, but we're just going to have a basic overview of the more competitive ones in the format right now, and it is going to be the Zygarde 50% form. It is important to cover, and we'll get into the complete form in a little bit. But when you're starting out with Zygarde in battle, you are always going to have the 50% form unless you go the 10% form. So it's important to have a brief overview of this Pokemon so you've got an understanding of what its capabilities are, what its weaknesses are, what its base stats are as well. So it is a ground and dragon type, got quite a unique typing for a restricted Pokemon, and a nice typing as well. It's a typing I do like a lot. It does have some severe weaknesses alongside that, but it does have some really nice strengths as well. It has the ability Aurora Break, so it nullifies the abilities of Fairy Aura and Dark Aura from Xerneas and Yveltal, which is pretty huge because those abilities they give them so much power, like extra power, and when they're out in the field, having this Aurora Break is just really nice, and it does weaken those Pokemon to some extent, and it's kind of a big deal when you think about Xerneas. It is one of the more threatening Pokemon, probably the most threatening restricted Pokemon in the format, and have an ability that kind of nullifies its ability is always going to be very good. You've got a base stat total of 600, so not quite up to par with the rest of the restricted pool. Distribution of 108 HP, 100 attack, 121 defense, 81 special attack, 95 special defense, and 95 speed. So speed stats not too bad as far as restricted Pokemon go. Got a huge defensive stat of 121, which is really nice, but everything else is kind of mediocre really, and not really reflective of a restricted Pokemon. You've got the weaknesses there. The big 4 times weakness with that ground and dragon typing is going to be ice. Got to be very careful of those attacks coming out onto you. Dragon as well, to a certain extent, not going to be as threatened from dragon type attacks in this format because of all the fairies and misty terrain and things like that. But then the other one is going to be a pretty big deal, going to be that fairy typing as well, 2 times weak to that. It is immune to electric types, which is nice, and it does resist poison, rock and fire with its ground typing. So all in all, not too bad, not too shabby, but that is the 50% form. Now let's move on to the complete form. So Zygarde complete form, again keeping its typing ground and dragon, and has the ability Power Construct. So how Zygarde works, it's a little bit confusing, but when Zygarde 50% form hits its HP hits 50% or less, the Power Construct ability, so Zygarde 50% with the Power Construct ability, it activates and then turns into its complete form. Upon that transformation, its stats increase quite significantly, especially one of them, jumping up to 216 HP stat, which is just phenomenal. It's ridiculous. So in those situations, the best way to look at it is when your Zygarde 50% form is damaged, it takes 50% health, then it transforms into Zygarde. It transforms at the end of the turn, so you've got to remember this. If you've got a recovery berry like citrus, or you've got a super berry like a figgy berry or something like that, and your health at the end of that turn, or even leftovers, if your health at the end of the turn goes above 50%, you will not transform. The turn needs to end for you to transform. So with that said, when you transform with Zygarde, you will have an increased HP stat. So what you do, pretty much the best way to work this out, simplest way to work it out, is the damage you've taken with the Zygarde 50% form, you minus that from the total HP number of the Zygarde complete form, and that's your HP stat. So it's pretty nice. It's like an automatic citrus berry almost, and that's another way to look at it. So let's just have a quick overview of the Zygarde complete form. It's got a huge 708 base stat total, one of the biggest for the restricted pool that we've got at the moment, if not the biggest, if I'm not mistaken. 216 HP stat, 100 attack, 121 defense, 91 special attack, 95 special defense, and 85 speed. So taking a decrease in speed along the way, but getting buffs to its HP, which is just ridiculous. Special attack and special attack drops, sorry, and the no, special attack increases, I should say, from 81 to 91, and special defense stays the same as well. The speed drop is a little bit unfortunate, but I think the power buff overall really does help it. You're not going to have any differences within its weaknesses and its immunities and resists, because its typing stays the same. But hopefully that little overview of how Zygarde in its complete form with the power construct ability operates a little bit better. So you can run the 50% Zygarde with the Aurora Brick if you want, but you can also run the 50% form with the Power Strokes ability, and then this is the outcome of that. So you get this huge beast of a Zygarde complete form when you have that ability at 50% or less. Anyway, we've covered that briefly. Hopefully I haven't hashed it up too much and you can understand it a little bit. And we'll move on to some sample sets. So, first sample set, Zygarde complete form. We're going with the Power Struct ability here, and it is going to be a Misty Dancer set. So, we're going to have the Zygarde holding the Misty Seed. So, when the Misty Terrain is on the field, it's going to get a special defensive boost by 1. It's going to activate straight away, so you lose your item. And we're going with an Adamant Nature. EVs are going to be 4 HP, 156 attack, 4 defense, 228 special defense, and 116 speed, with a moveset of Protect, Dragon Dance, Extreme Speed, and 1,000 Arrows. So 1,000 Arrows, for you that don't know, is a signature attack of Zygarde, and it allows you to hit levitating Pokemon, flying Pokemon with a ground type attack, which is pretty amazing, and they will stay grounded until that Pokemon switches out. So it's pretty nice. It's a pretty strong attack. It's got 100% accuracy. It's a really nice signature attack for Zygarde. Dragon Dance gives it a nice means to have some sort of self-speed control, boosting its speed and boosting its attack, and then it's got the extreme speed as well, access to that to be able to have that priority to pick off things if they're on a sash or very low health, just before Zygarde eventually goes down. This spread allows you to take a timid 252 special attack Xerneas Moonblast. It is 49% max, so if you've got the boost up, you know you're going to easily take one more of those attacks once you've transformed, and you are also able to take a +2 timid 252 special attack Xerneas Moonblast. So after its J-Man Seed, its max is 97% max. And you may be asking me, I was saying now, well, why would you have that calc there? One of the reasons is because obviously you need the Misty Terrain, so you're going to need Tapu Fini as a support Pokemon for this Zygarde specifically. I really think it is so imperative, like super necessary, to have Heal Pulse as a support option next to your Zygarde, because I think it just needs it to operate a lot better. So that calc is relevant if you've got Heal Pulse, because it allows you to heal yourself back up and get a Dragon Dance off, and then next turn throw some attacks out, or just keep heal pulsing, or whatever you need to do, or make room and haze the Xerneas before you start boosting up yourself. Doing that though is a little bit awkward because you do lose your special defensive boost, but at the cost of getting rid of Xerneas' boosts, I think it's a worthwhile trade. Anyway, that is that set. Let's move on to the next sample set. So the next sample set is another common item you're going to see quite a lot on Zygarde is the super berries, so Figgy Berry, a Papa Berry, a Guava Berry, so on and so on. We've went for a Jolly Nature here. We've went for an EV spread of 4 HP, 244 attack, 4 defense, 60 special defense, and 196 speed. So protect, we've either got Dragon Dance or Coil is a nice option as well. So Coil boosts your attack, defense, and accuracy by 1 stage, and again just going with those staples I really personally think are the best 2 options on Zygarde, or Extreme Speed and 1000 Hours. Obviously it does have other options in 1000 Waves, which is a ground type attack that traps your opponent, so you can go along those lines if you want, but I do feel like Extreme Speed, 1000 Hours give you the best options with it. Dragon Dance again, you might not necessarily need so much if you've got speed control beside it with other Pokemon like Icy Wind, or you've got a Tailwind setter as well, so you could maybe go down a Coil route there with the Zygarde, but you've got both options there. Just to give you an idea, the speed stat here, speed creeps all neutral nature max EV'd base 90, so if you're coming up against Adamant Groudon, Modest Kyogre, both 252 speed EVs, you're going to get the speed creep on them by 1 point, which also helps out as well, kind of coincides with Icy Wind support, because if you're coming up against a Scoffed Kyogre, for instance, you can get an Icy Wind on it. You're going to be outspeeding it with Zygarde the next turn because you've kind of nullified the Scarf ability there. So that is the Super Berry set. I'm going to move on to a Leftover Coil. I've coined the name, Leftover Coil set. We went pretty straightforward here with just a 252 HP, 4 defense, and 252 special defense. Protect, Coil, Dragon Tail, and 1000 Hours. And I've kind of added in Dragon Tail here, as it's a kind of, it's almost like a semi-phasing Pokemon, so you're going to be able to utilize the Dragon Tail's ability to remove Pokemon from the field when you hit it. Coil obviously helps with that because Dragon Tail is a less accurate attack, it's not 100%, so with 1 Coil boost, you know, you're getting that 100% attack accuracy there, and it's going to be hitting pretty decent with Stab Dragon as well there. 1000 Hours just going to be the staple here. And we just wanted to maximize the special defense here. It does allow you to take a +2 Dazzling Gleam, I think, from Xerneas, so that's pretty nice. So you've got that to kind of fall back on. You're obviously not going to be able to Dragon Tail it, but with Coil boosted, you're going to be able to do some damage to it anyway, and it's just another option. And Leftovers is a really nice option as recovery on Zygarde because you're not relying on like a berry that might hinder your ability to transform forms after taking damage and things like that. The Leftovers is a lot more reliable, and just with the bulk that you've got there, natural bulk from Careful Nature, and the full investment in special defense, and then the Coil as well to further boost you. If you've got again something like Heal Pulse next to it, it's just going to prolong its longevity and make sure that it is able to perform well in the field. Right, there's that set. So let's look at another more popular item that we're seeing played at the minute, and that is the Earth Plate. So this is an Adamant Nature. Again, we've got an EV spread of 4 HP, 148 attacks, 36 defense, 252 special defense, and 68 speed. So Protect, Dragon Dance, Extreme Speed, 1000 Hours. It's a set that we've already mentioned before, but it's just a very good set. I think it just does the job that you need it to. But for one reason, the Earth Plate's a really nice option. This investment here, 4 HP, 252 special defense, does allow you to sorry about that, my phone's gone. It does allow you to and I hope it doesn't stop ringing on the video here, so I'm just going to cancel it off there. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I should really turn it off before I start recording, and you can never get into the knack of that. So, you do survive a +2 Timid Xerneas Dazzling Gleam, and this is why I've got the Clefairy here for a reason. So you're not going to be able to survive a +2 Moonblast, unfortunately. It's just not going to happen. So kind of tying your opponent down to forcing them to use the spread move makes a lot of difference. So knowing you can take that +2 Dazzling Gleam gives you a lot of room, because if you can get one Dragon Dance off, so if you're in +1 attack, 1,000 arrows plus an extreme speed guarantees a 1-hit KO on a 4 HP Xerneas, which is pretty nice. You've also got to factor in the Friend Guard as well from the Clefairy, which I haven't here, because I think it's good to factor in calcs without the Friend Guard. It doesn't mean that you're relying on it so heavily, and it means when you're not playing Clefairy with that Pokemon, you know you've got the ability to take those big attacks that would be quite threatening to you anyway. Just with the Friend Guard, it's going to bolster your attack, going to prolong your usage on the field and things like that. So it's kind of like an added bonus, but you're not relying on it as well, which is a nice way, I think, to kind of look at it. You've got the Follow Me support, like we've mentioned. You've got Heal Pulse support, which is amazing, and you've got Icy Wind support as well. All things that Clefairy offers. Very good Pokemon partner in Pokemon to Zygarde, and also it pulls in those Dragon type attacks that would be otherwise very threatening to Zygarde. So that's a really nice option as well. So there is that set. I do really like this Earthplate set. I really do. I think it's one of my favourite ones from this guide. But I do really like it, especially with Clefairy partnered next to it. Who wouldn't like that? Huge beast of a Pokemon next to a tiny little cute thing like Clefairy. Anyway, we'll move on. And this is, because this is in part the last guide in this series, and also because I want to give Johnny a little shout out, because he's putting a lot of work into his VGC blog that he has at the minute, and it is something that I would recommend each and every one of you to go and check out. He has some great guides in there, some great Pokemon sets, and his analysis in general is just very good. So this is something I came across on his blog, and I thought I just want to throw it in here because I feel like it's a very good set to play, and a very solid option to play on Zygarde. I know the movesets are very similar to the ones that we've already discussed, but his EV spread is slightly different, and if you go over to his blog, which I will link in the description below, you can have a full read through of the analysis of this Pokemon and what the EV spread achieves, what the attack investment achieves, and what the potential of this Zygarde can do in battle. So just to reiterate, guys, JohnnyHax, he is one of our Flinch Squad members of the channel. Honorary member, that I would just like to say that he does have a VGC blog, and it will be very beneficial for you guys to go across there and read some of his articles. So go and do that after you've watched this, of course. But yes, so we're going to coin this the JohnnyHax Leftovers Zygarde set. It is an Adamant Nature, 252 HP, 156 attacks, 12 defense, 140 special defense, and 148 speed. Protect, Dragon Dance, Extreme Speed, and 1,000 hours. Like I say, it is the kind of bread and butter of Zygarde sets, I feel, at the moment. But I'm not going to go into too many details, because I'd like you to go over to Johnny's blog and read all about it over there, and he has got just a list upon list upon list of calculations and things that you can do with this set, which is really amazing. So I would definitely recommend going over and checking that out. So there's some tasty sample sets for you. Let's look at some partners for Zygarde. So Tapu Fini is going to be one of the ones top of the list, isn't it? It's got the Misty Surge ability, Water Fairy typing, and for very good reason. It brings that misty terrain and allows you to use your seed. It also protects you from status conditions and protects you from opposing dragon type attacks, which is all very nice. You've got access to can't even say it, self-swagger play, so you can swagger your own Zygarde with Tapu Fini, boost its attack. You can, you know, fend off those opposing dragons with its fairy typing. You've got Heal Pulse support as well, which I've already mentioned I think is pretty essential to support in Zygarde. And there's also haste support as well for shutting down threats like Xerneas as well. So very nice partner all in all. I'd say one of the better partners in the format for Zygarde if you are thinking about using it. Another partner that we're going to look at is Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko, I think, is an extremely good partner for Zygarde. Electric terrain obviously provides protection against sleep status. It's a fast pivot with the Volt Switch to help repositioning. To get something in besides Zygarde that supports it a bit better, so on and so on. Got the fairy typing again for dragon threats, and the nice thing about Tapu Koko is it has access to Skydrop, which has like super nice mechanics and utility with 1000 arrows. So when you pick a Pokemon up with Skydrop and they're in that semi-vulnerable state in the air between turns, you can still hit them with 1000 arrows, which is pretty nice. So it has some nice usages, and also the Skydrops gives you room to set up coils, dragon dances and things like that. So very nice partner all in all. Next partner we've already mentioned, the little cute pink blob Clefairy. So it has that Friend Guard ability, going to bolster its defenses and just make Zygarde an even bulkier force than it already is. Fairy typing obviously, which complements the dragon typing of Zygarde. And you can make a part of a fantasy core if you want to go down that route. Obviously it's pretty obvious what Clefairy brings to the table with that follow me support, Friend Guard support, heal pulse support, all the support you need, speed control with Icy Wind, and like we've already mentioned, the fairy typing very complementary to Zygarde's dragon typing. So obviously acts as a nice switch in as well if you're in really sticky situations from opposing dragons, but I don't see too many threats from that, but you never know. Another partner that I'd like to highlight as a good partner to Zygarde is going to be Scizor, or Scizor, however you want to pronounce it. The ability Technician, it is a Steel and Bug type Pokemon. Excellent protection versus fairies and ice types with that priority Bullet Punch or Iron Head, or whichever route you want to go down with Scizor. It's got speed control with Tailwind to help support Zygarde as an option there, and the Steel type is also a very nice switch in for dragon type threats because it will resist them. So all in all, very good partner to Zygarde. Next partner we're going to look at is Solgaleo. So restricted pairing potentially here. Solgaleo, full metal body ability, has the typing Psychic Steel. It's just a phenomenal check to fairy type threats that threaten Zygarde. It offers Trick Room support as well, so if you want to go down a slow mode with Zygarde, you've got to remember that its base speed does drop when it takes its complete form, so you can utilize Trick Room with it. That is an option with it. And there's also Y-God support from Solgaleo as well, something that gets overlooked quite a bit with Solgaleo, but Y-God support from this Pokemon is very strong. Protects Zygarde against threatening attacks like Dazzling Gleam, Blizzard and Water Spout. So they're your partnering Pokemon. Let's have a look at the threats and counter tables. So Ice type's going to be the big ones, isn't it? You're going to have that 4 times weakness. You've got to really be careful around Ice types because they will be hitting you for stupid damage. They're going to be like Abomasnow with its Blizzards, and Alola Ninetales as well, Blizzards and Moonblasts that you need to be wary of in those situations. So having some checks for those is really helpful. Fairy types we've already mentioned quite a few times throughout this guide. They're going to threaten Zygarde to no end. You've got Xerneas, Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, just to name a few. But the nice thing about the fairy and the ice types, they're both covered by the same typing. You know, Steel type's going to really help Zygarde out a lot here. Dragon types going to threaten Zygarde 100%, especially when it takes its complete form, even as bulky as it is. One of the problems with Zygarde is it just doesn't have the damage output that you really want or expect from a restricted Pokemon. So opposing dragon types that have like these stupidly big attacks and special attack stats, they're going to be hitting you for good damage in this. Likely that you're not going to be able to pick up a KO back, so if you've not got speed control or you're not set your board up well enough in these situations, they will probably beat you in most one-on-one situations. So you got things like Dialga, you got Palkia, Naganadel, Reshiram, Zekrom, just to name a few of those, and then some walls and checks like Tapu Bulu. Well, it can just sit in front of Zygarde all day long. It's not going to take any damage really from its ground type attacks, and it'll take damage from extreme speed, but it's going to be able to out damage you for the most part. It's bulky enough to take a few extreme speeds, even boosted ones, and it'll be able to out damage Zygarde. It's not going to take any damage from dragon stabs that you have because of its fairy type, and so all in all, Tapu Bulu is a really nice check to Zygarde in general. Ferrothorn as well, it's going to be able to take most attacks from Zygarde pretty well. Cortana and Ludicolo I'm just throwing in under this umbrella because they're going to be able to take the ground type attacks pretty comfortably, and they're going to be threatening back with either grass or ice type stabs if they're Ludicolo. So There's just a few, but hopefully that wraps up the guide there. But Zygarde, I feel, is a very interesting Pokemon in this restricted format. I think it is extremely hard to get going because of all of its threats, and I think the one big thing that it does have, it has that really good ability in the Power Construct ability, but at the same time I feel like it's a bit detrimental as well, because you are relying on that activating, and you have to lose 50% health for that to activate, so it's really hard to get going. But I think there are ways for you to get this Pokemon working in this format, and I do think it has a lot of potential. It's just making sure that you support it right, because it has a lot of threats, and a lot of these threats are commonly used Pokemon, but if you can just build up around it and support it well, it can operate and it can be an absolute beast once it gets going. I mean, that's the thing, just making sure you support it well with speed control. It needs, it's going to need the right typings next to it, it's going to need the right switch-ins on it, but it can be done. It's just probably a little bit more work, a lot more work than it would be building around something like Xerneas. But I do think it has potential. It's been really fun looking at it, and it's a really interesting Pokemon that I'm going to look forward to playing with, because before this guide I hadn't really looked at Zygarde at all, so it is a really interesting Pokemon and something I'm going to look forward to playing. Whether I play it on the streams one week or if I actually bring it onto the channel, that'll be another question, but I do look forward to trying it out and playing around with it, especially in this Sun series, because I feel like this series is probably the one series where it has a lot more potential to do work than maybe the next two that we're going to be going into in the